for sure, maybe even a few flurries. There are warmer temperatures ahead. We'll show you when to expect those coming up.
And today we honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We're taking you inside the events that were held today across our area.
And we're following President Donald Trump's second inauguration, his message to the nation as he takes the reins again in Washington.
Live, local, late breaking. This is 4029 News at 6.
Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm LaKyra Banks.
And I'm Brandon Evans. A cold start to the week, so let's get started. Look at the forecast.
All right, Darby, so cold out there tonight. What can we expect as we're waking up tomorrow morning? How cold is it?
Well, you know what it felt like this morning?
Freezing.
Way below freezing. It was frigid, and then we got kind of the same thing tomorrow. Not a ton of wind, which helps out a good bit, but out there right now it's pretty cold. Low to mid 20s across northwest Arkansas, and mid to upper 20s right now in the River Valley. But again, not too much wind. We got all these clouds that have spread in, and there's snow falling above us. It's just that it's literally drying out before it ever gets to the surface. This is so dry. Now, off to the south, that's going to be a different story down there. But for us, maybe a flurry here or there, that'd be about the most you'd expect. In the River Valley for us tonight, temperatures dropping into the teens as we go into tomorrow morning. I think actually mid-teens for a lot of folks. And then upper 20s to around 30 as we go into tomorrow afternoon. Kind of like today, good dose of sunshine. Not a ton of wind. Waking up in the single digits between 6 and 8 degrees in northwest Arkansas in the morning, just like this morning. Maybe not quite as cold as it was this morning, but very close, if not basically the same. Tomorrow afternoon, we're looking at high temperatures only in the mid-20s. So again, a lot like what we had today. But there are warmer temperatures ahead. We'll show you when to expect those coming up.
Today, the River Valley celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a free breakfast, and then everyone headed downtown as traffic was rerouted for the annual parade.
4029's Brett Rains was there, and he talked to one person who experienced the festivities for the first time in Fort Smith.
The 20-degree temperatures did not stop people from lining up on Garrison Avenue this morning for the annual MLK Day parade. And one person we talked to who recently moved to Fort Smith says she's thankful for the community she now calls home. Police and firefighters led the way as everyone bundled up and gathered in downtown Fort Smith for
Martin Luther King Day.
Why is it important?
Because he got shot.
It's just a good day to celebrate.
The Selbys huddled in the back of their car to stay warm. They were here 45 minutes early to get a good spot for the annual parade.
You have to. Usually with parades like this, you have to get here early. I got my hot chocolate.
Fort Smith Mayor George McGill and other city leaders waved to the crowd. Members of the local NAACP carried the banner honoring Dr. King. And it's never too cold for kids to grab some free candy. And of course, it's not a parade in Fort Smith without horses. These are with the Rough Riders Saddle Club.
Excited that Fort Smith is doing this for the community. Dr. King is all about unity and fighting for injustice, and we need it more importantly today than any days.
This is Tamara Jones's first MLK Day parade on Garrison Avenue in downtown Fort Smith. She moved here from Tennessee about a year ago.
It's been great. I love Fort Smith. It's like a hidden gem. I know my local grocery person, the same gas station I go to every day is like family. Like they know my name. It just feels like a community, so I feel like I'm right at home.
Now, happening all this week, the University of Arkansas Fort Smith is hosting panel discussions and lectures on the legacy and vision of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The events are free and open to anyone who wants to attend. In Fort Smith, Brett Rains, 4029 News.
In Fayetteville, the 29th Freedom March at the Theater Square today celebrated the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The president of the Northwest Arkansas MLK Council, Lindsay Leverett Higgins, says that the event aims to inspire change. And with Inauguration Day falling on MLK Day this year, Higgins says it's an opportunity for us to reflect on the work that still needs to be done.
Being an advocate of service in your community. And so if that means a small service project, if that means doing something that's on the grand scale, on the national scale, be a servant and be humble, have humility, and continue to serve your community and to serve others.
Tonight at 10, hear from a woman as she reflects on the changes within her community. Well, the city of Springdale says it's renaming Watkins Avenue Pass to Martin Luther King Jr. Overpass to honor the civil rights hero. The mayor's office made the announcement in a release today. No word yet on when signs around the overpass will be changed. Today, Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. This is a live look from Capitol Hill, where he already started the day signing numerous executive orders on everything from immigration to developing AI.
And several people from Arkansas attended today's presidential inauguration. Governor Sarah Sanders was there, so was U.S. Congressman Steve Womack, as well as former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Also, several Oklahomans present. They included Governor Kevin Stitt, as well as Senators James Lankford and Mark Wayne Mullen. Well, immigration reform is at the top of President Trump's agenda as he returns to the White House for a second term.
4029's Chip Scarborough is live in Rogers tonight, where one immigration attorney is already noticing some changes. Chip?
Yeah, LaKyra Brandon, that attorney tells me some of his clients who had appointments scheduled at the southern border seeking asylum have already had those appointments canceled. Now, Aaron Cash is an immigration attorney here at Herrera Law Group in Rogers. He says he and his team are now working to figure out exactly how they're going to help their clients who are seeking asylum. Cash says those pursuing it have to physically be in the U.S. in order to do so.
And so the system that was in place until this morning was you could make an appointment to do that, and you'd go to a border crossing and you would not cross the border undetected, but you'd actually go to an appointment and explain your situation, and then they could vet you that way and do your fingerprints and run your background.
Cash says some of his clients are also concerned about deportations, but he says those clients have a due process right to go before an immigration judge. He says there is already a backlog in the courts, so any new cases would likely take several years before they're heard. Live in Rogers tonight, Chip Scarborough, 4029 News.
Chip, thank you. And President Trump addressed the nation today multiple times as part of his inauguration ceremony.
White House correspondent Kaylin Norwood is live at the White House. And Kaylin, you watched the speech as he shared his vision for America.
Yeah, Brandon and LaKyra, that's right. President Donald Trump spoke for about 30 minutes, promising to take a series of actions that would put America first, as the inauguration moved indoors due to the bitter cold temperatures for the first time in 40 years.
I solemnly swear.
Donald Trump sworn back into office as the 47th President of the United States.
That I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
The bitter cold causing President Trump to take his oath inside the tightly packed U.S. Capitol Rotunda, where former presidents, congressional leaders, Supreme Court justices, and tech billionaires watched on as he laid out his vision for the nation.
The golden age of America begins right now.
In his inaugural address, Trump conveying optimism about America's future, while also criticizing the past.
The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end.
He talked about his plans to immediately boost energy production to bring down cost and ending what he called the electric vehicle mandate. And he vowed to secure the southern border by declaring a national emergency and sending troops.
I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions.
As he vowed to be a peacemaker and a unifier.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into.
He says voters in the November election gave him a mandate to act quickly.
From this moment on, America's decline is over.
Some of Trump's first steps coming carrying out his agenda will be in the form of wide-ranging executive orders, and it comes, guys, right out here live at the White House. It appears that President Donald Trump has arrived. He's just coming from his parade, his inaugural parade at Capital One Arena, and you see his motorcade behind me, several cars following him, and this is as he's coming in to sign executive orders that he has announced. He's going to be doing that in the Oval Office shortly. Back to you.
All right, Kaylin, we know it's cold out there, we can tell, but we also know that Trump and Biden shared a couple of moments together as the country passed the baton to a new leader.
Oh, that's right. Joe Biden and Donald Trump had tea and coffee here at the White House this morning before the official inauguration. Then they also rode in a limo together as they headed to the Capitol before President Trump was sworn in. On top of that, Biden says that he did write a letter to Trump, that something that is tradition for the outgoing president to do, but he did not say what he said in it. Back to you.
All right, Kaylin Norwood reporting for us live there at the White House. Kaylin, thank you. So a husband and wife from Springdale was actually in D.C. today to witness the presidential inauguration this morning.
Yeah, let's bring in 4029's Jacob Murphy. Talk to that person. Going to join us now live with more. Jacob.
Well, guys, Lucy Claypool and her husband were out and about in D.C. this morning, and the biggest thing that they noticed was the amount of security. Now, Claypool lived in D.C. in the early 2000s when she interned at the White House, and she was also there in 2016 when Trump got sworn in, but she says today was the most security she's ever seen in D.C.
I've never seen it this secure in my life.
Claypool and her husband spent the morning around Pennsylvania Avenue, where they captured this video of Trump's motorcade.
That's where he left the White House tea with the Bidens to go to Capitol Hill to get sworn in.
To get to that point, they had to go through several security checks.
There's barricades everywhere. They have basically put a whole maze, I guess you will, around Pennsylvania Avenue.
Claypool's been there before, but today was different.
Even when I talked to some Secret Service, they were like, things changed after the assassination attempt. And at that point, you know, this is probably the most secure place in the world right now.
But thanks to that tight security, Claypool and her husband were able to be in the middle of a history textbook today in D.C.
This time I feel like it's everyone. It's Republicans, it's Democrats. It doesn't really matter what kind of the aisle that you're on. Everybody is supportive and they're happy that things are changing.
Claypool and her husband are at the presidential ball tonight before they return back here to Northwest Arkansas tomorrow night. Live in Springdale, Jacob Murphy, 4029 News.
A local nonprofit says catalytic converters were stolen from its vehicles.
Straight ahead tonight, it says 2 catalytic converters for their vehicles were stolen today. Open Avenues offers job training for people with disabilities. Now, they sent us security camera video. You see it right there. It shows the theft. You see a black sedan pulling up. The driver gets out, begins removing the converters. Now, the group's CEO says this is a major financial blow for them.
Transportation is one of our greatest expenses here, and it's one of our greatest needs for our participants. This will possibly cost us upwards of $6,000. We're hoping to raise around $5,500 if we can.
So the group is urging anyone with information to contact police. They're also launching that fundraising campaign, which you just heard them talk about. That'll help them cover the cost. More information on that is available online at their website.
Fayetteville police have confirmed 1 person has died after falling from a balcony at Cardinal Apartments. Police say a boy was found on the ground outside the apartment. That was around 9 this morning. Police say this is an active death investigation. Now, the second incident of people falling from the balconies at the apartment, that was last week. An 18-year-old girl fell from a balcony around 11 o'clock at night. Police say she had serious injuries but is now in stable condition. Both people who fell were U of A students. Later this week, Governor Sanders will travel to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum. According to her office, she'll be speaking on 2 different panels. One is about smartphones, social media, and the youth mental health crisis, while the other will focus on the roles that states play in presidential transitions. She'll be in Switzerland Wednesday through Friday.
The Mount Sequoia cross in Fayetteville was taken down today for repairs. Now, the center says it's going to be back up by the 25th, though. Officials say they needed to upgrade the lighting system to energy-efficient LED lights. It's also going to allow them to make some minor safety improvements.
Let's get back to that forecast now with Chief Meteorologist Darby Bybee.
All right, Darby, I know we got single-digit lows overnight into tomorrow, but when do we start getting seasonal again?
Well, later on this week. It's not going to take too long to get back close to seasonal. It's actually going to happen fairly quickly. Take a look right here. Next 5 days in Northwest Arkansas. There's tomorrow, that low of 6 degrees, 6 to 7 degrees, kind of like this morning, and then highs in the mid-20s, kind of like this afternoon. Then we get that south wind, and temperatures start to come up. Lows start coming up by Thursday, back closer to average. Thursday, Friday, and then back warmer than average by Saturday. Highs getting back closer to average Wednesday, Thursday, especially Friday into Saturday, getting probably back above average or at least to near average by that point. So that's coming back here pretty quickly later on this week. Got to get through one more really cold night. Same thing in the River Valley. Next couple of nights pretty chilly, but you can see as we go later in the week, those temperatures get back closer to average, and then probably 2 or maybe even a little bit above by later into the week, into the weekend. You take a look at precipitation chances. We're calling it precip chances because there could be a flurry in northwest Arkansas tonight, but maybe a little more chance of that Thursday afternoon to Thursday night. And then some showers in the River Valley, maybe a little bit of rain or even mix in northwest Arkansas this weekend. There'll be a little bit of cold air lingering, and so that'll be something we'll watch for. Of course, brutally cold this morning. Saw lows in some cases just barely below 0, but most of northwest Arkansas in the single digits this morning. Teens in the River Valley. Coldest air of the season for sure. Highs in the 20s to around 30 today. Look at this up north, though. I mean, my goodness. 20 below, right around that number in Fargo. That's the actual air temperature. That's not the wind chill. And that cold air getting all the way down the Gulf Coast from Mexico all the way along the Gulf of Mexico, all the way to Florida. Parts of the panhandle of Florida could pick up 5-6 inches of snow. New Orleans included. There could be some 10-inch snow amounts in Louisiana. Yeah, so this one's going to dodge us. It's not really going to hit us. We got some flurries maybe in the area tonight. That'd be about it. Very cold, though. Now, there won't be much of a wind, but with the little bit of breeze we have, wind chills dropping to near 0 in northwest Arkansas in the morning, single digits in the River Valley. So a spotty flurry, otherwise just brutally cold. Waking up again in the single digits and teens like this morning. And tomorrow, very similar today. Basically a repeat and a lot of sunshine. Not too much wind, but again, very, very cold. You can see we do warm up later in the week. There's this system coming in this weekend, Saturday into Sunday. In the River Valley, if we get any moisture from it, probably just some showers, that kind of thing as it appears right now. Obviously, no return of any brutal cold air, and I don't think we'll have to worry about any return of the really cold air this month. Could it return in February? It could. Doesn't every year. Sometimes we get a really cold February, some snow. Some years are like last February where it's very warm and you don't have any of that. But anyway, as we go later in the weekend in northwest Arkansas, that'll be something we'll have to watch for. A little bit of light rain, a light mix, depending on how much cold air is available. But doesn't look like a very impactful system right now. That could change, but right now we're not seeing that. All right, Bentonville, we're forecasting for you over the weekend, and guess what? We get the bell today. We got it right on the money. Meteorologist William Morrison got that one right on the money for Bentonville. And that occurred right after midnight before that really cold air started to come in. But Martin Webb of Fayetteville, you get today's umbrella. Congratulations, Martin in Fayetteville. Clarksville's we're forecasting for tomorrow. Highs there in Johnson County, only in the upper 20s. If you want to win an umbrella, all you got to do is go to our website, 4029tv.com. Not the app, but the website. Click on 4-degree guarantee and put your info in there.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Darby. Well, it was a successful day for the Gym Backs on the Hill today.
When we come back.